Hey guys, Jason here with RWB NetSec, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at an OSINT tool called theHarvester. Open source intelligence gathering is done during the early stages of a pen test, and it's used to find out what a company's or an individual's internet footprint looks like. So with OSINT, you're going to be looking for things like email addresses, subdomains, and employee names. So this information is going to give you a better picture of how an organization operates and the types of things that their employees are putting out in the public online. You know, some people post way too much information online, especially on social media. So there's a ton of information you can gather to get a foothold into an organization. So with that being said, let's get started with theHarvester. So just as a quick overview, theHarvester is an OSINT tool that was written by Christian Martorella. The current version as of this video is 2.6, which is what should be installed in your Kali machine. If it isn't, you can get the latest version from the project's Github page, and I will be posting a link to that page in the description below, and here you can see I've got it pulled up here. So according to the author, theHarvester is a tool for gathering email addresses, subdomains, virtual hosts, open ports and banners, and employee names, all from a variety of public resources. theHarvester does its searches on different sites such as Google, Bing, LinkedIn, Shodan, and there's a few other sites that it looks at, and we'll be taking a look at those as we go through it here. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a look at the options that are available for it. All right, so let's go ahead and close down the browser here for a minute. So to open theHarvester within Kali, just go up to Applications, Information Gathering, OSINT Analysis, and then to click on theHarvester. And you can see here when it comes up, it's going to show you the options that are available. And we'll just run down through these quick just to kind of give a brief overview of what each option does. So the first one there, let me scroll up here, the TAC D is what you use to specify the domain or the company name that you're going to be searching on. The TAC B is the data source that you're going to use. So you can specify if you want theHarvester to only look on Google or Bing or LinkedIn, or you can specify all for it to do a search on all of them. One thing to note here, there are a couple of these sources that require you to have an API key in order for theHarvester to be able to connect and do searches on that particular engine. So just be aware of that. And I'll be going over the API setup a little bit later in the video. The TAC S allows you to specify the result, the result number that you want to start at, and by default it starts at 0. So I normally would just leave it set at the default there. TAC V lets you verify the host names with DNS resolution, and it will also search for virtual hosts. So that's going to come into play if you have a domain that is hosted by a third-party web host like DreamHost or some of the other ones out there. You may have one IP address for that domain, but that IP address may, resolve back to 100 different domain names. So that's more information that you'll have to weed through if you do a search this way. The TAC F option allows you to save your results into HTML and XML files, and it will save it to both files at the same time, so you don't have to specify if you want just an HTML file or an XML. When you use TAC F, you just give it the name of the file that you want to save, and then it will automatically create both HTML and XML files for you. TAC N is going to do a DNS reverse lookup on all of the IP ranges that it discovers. TAC C is going to be using a DNS brute force. TAC T is going to do TLD expansion discovery. And with TAC E, you can actually specify if you want to use another DNS server to do your lookups. Like we've talked about in the other videos, by default, any lookups are going to be done using your local resolving server, which would be your ISP most of the time. But you could specify another one like Google's public DNS server or another one. TAC L will allow you to limit the number of results that you are working with. And that could come into play if you're going against a domain that maybe it's a very large company and they have a lot of info out there, and you want to limit the number of results that you get back. And TAC H is going to query against the Shodan database. And like I said before, Shodan does require an API key, so just keep that in mind. And then if you scroll down just a little bit more, it just shows you a few examples of actually how to run the Harvester. All right, so the first one that we're going to look at, we're just going to do kind of like a basic search with the Harvester. So I'm going to minimize this window just to move it up here a little bit, and just go ahead and open a new terminal window. So the syntax is just going to be, you'll do the Harvester, you'll need to specify TAC D, and then put the domain, let's just do cisco.com. And then TAC B to specify your data source, and we'll just do Google here. You'll do that and then hit enter. You can see it's already finished here. Then if we scroll back up, you can see that it did a search on Google for anything related to Cisco. Now it's found these email addresses, and then these are the host names that it discovered for Cisco. One thing that I will note here, and this is coming a little bit from personal experience, on the emails that it finds, you are going to have to go through and verify. It's possible that these email addresses are for people who may no longer work for a company, so you may have to do some further discovery to see if those people are actually still there before you fire off maybe some kind of a phishing attack or something. Now, you may be wondering, there's not a lot of options that it gives you. So you may think, well, I'll just specify all the options at the same time and just get all the results at once. That I wouldn't suggest doing that, and there are a couple of reasons why. First of all, if you're going against a large company, you could get flooded with the results that the Harvester is bringing back with all those different options, whether it's doing DNS reverse lookups, gathering all the email addresses, the host names, all that stuff. So that will cause it to run a little bit longer, and you may be, crunched for time. So you want to get it done as quickly as possible and focus on the things that would be most important for you at that point in the test. The other thing is getting that many results back means that you're still gonna have to weed through everything and verify the results, because there may be some false positives that come back, especially with the host names. So you're still going to have to go back through and check those and make sure that they are, first of all, in scope for your test. And like I said, with the email addresses, verify that those people actually still work at the company. The other thing that I discovered running the Harvester with all of the options set, and I'm not sure if this was just on my computer or if it's just a bug maybe in the program, but on larger domains like with Cisco or some of the other ones, every time that I set all the options on it, when it gets to the DNS brute force section, the program just hangs up, and then I would actually end up having to kill my Kali machine and restart it. I did not see that issue if I did it against a smaller company that may not have returned as many results. It only happened on the larger result sets that would come back. So it may just be a glitch or a bug within the Harvester in the way it's parsing the data. So with that being said, I'm not going to show an actual scan with all of the options set, but we will take a look at a couple more examples so you can see the kind of results that you will get back. So the next thing that we will look at here is going to be using the brute forcing method. So let me actually just clear this off the screen here. So we'll do the harvester, tac D, and I'm going to use a smaller domain this time. So we'll just do, and this is just a random site that I picked off the internet. And then we'll do, this time I'm going to use Bing for the data source. And then tac C will tell it to do a DNS brute force attack. So we'll hit enter there. And you can see that it's now running through the brute force. Here's a list of the host names that it has come back with. An email address for it. Now again, this is going against Bing. You would want to try this against different data sources just to see. There's going to be different results that come back for each one, so you will want to check through all those. Alright, and the brute forcing has finished now, so you can see it did come back with a few more subdomains. And of course, you could add these into your attack scope for the company. There may be ways that you can use these specific servers or domains to actually get into the company. So as you're going through these scans, the one thing that you're going to want to do with any of them is save your results so you can go back to them later. And the Harvester does contain a way for you to save these results to a file. Let me just clear the screen again for you here. And then let's see, I'll do the same scan against the container store. Let me change to the desktop. I'm just going to create a folder for that site. And that's what I would recommend you to do if you're doing a pen test against a company. Just create a folder where you can store all of your data. That way you know where everything is. And we'll change there. So we're going to run the scan again. So we'll do the harvester, the container store, Bing, and this time we're going to specify the tac F option and then give it the name of the file that we want to save. So I'm just going to call it CStore. Hit enter. Alright, and it has finished its scan here. So if we open up the folder that we created, you'll see that there are now two files that were created. You have an HTML file and an XML file. So if you open the HTML file, you'll see that it has all the results formatted nicely. It's easy to find everything. Of course, here there's not a lot to look through, but you can see what this looks like, and this is something that you could add into your final report that you give to your customer. So let's just close out of here. Close this one. And like I said before, by default, it is going to create both of those files, so you don't have to tell it that you want either an HTML file or an XML file. It's going to create them both for you automatically. So the last scan type that we're going to look at is going to be against virtual hosts. So if you're testing a domain that is hosted by a third-party provider, you may notice during your DNS recon that several domains will resolve to the same IP address. I'm not going to go into details here of how virtual hosting works, but from a security perspective, there could be issues if the web servers aren't configured correctly. One thing, and this is how some of the larger breaches have happened. You may have say you've got your site. Let's just do it this way. Say you've got a web server set up, and one of your friends wants to host their website on your server. So you've got that site set up, and then you host another website for another friend. So the first friend has everything configured securely. There's no issues with their site. All the code is secure. But your other friend sets up a website that may have something like a SQL injection vulnerability. It may be possible for an attacker to break into the second website, get access to the back-end web server, and then at that point they would be able to compromise the other sites that are hosted on that same server. So this is an issue, and of course the sysadmins need to make sure that everything is configured properly when they're setting these up. So let's look at what a scan looks like with the Harvester and looking at virtual hosts. So let me clear the screen again. And the syntax again will be the Harvester, tag D, and I'll just use this same domain. We'll do Bing again, and then to do the virtual host lookup, we're going to do a tag V. We'll hit enter. And this one may take just a little bit longer to run. All right, not too bad. So if we scroll back up here, we can see these are all the virtual hosts that it found, and notice they all resolve to the same IP address. One thing I wanted to note here in the output, you're going to see this strong tag that's showing up in a lot of them. This is actually a bug within the Harvester, and a bug report has been submitted for this. The author knows about it, and he's saying that he's probably going to have this fixed within the next release, so we'll just be looking for that. You can see that it found several virtual hosts. And of course, I mean, these servers are not going to be in scope for your test, so the bad guys would take this and start looking at each one of these domains. If they can find a way to compromise one of these domains, it may give them access then to be able to get into all these other sites and back-end databases that they're using. So they may be able to compromise usernames and passwords, credit card data, anything, just from one misconfigured website. So the last thing I wanted to mention is the use of the API keys. So like I said earlier, some of the data sources that you want to search against require that you have an API key for that specific server. I'll just show you a quick example here of what it looks like. If you try to run the Harvester, let's just do container store. Let's use the Bing API. You'll notice here that it tells you to insert your API key, and then it shows you the directory and file that you need to edit. So if you go into that directory, it's under User, Share, the Harvester, and Discovery. And then here you've got the Bing search.py file. I'm just going to open it with gedit. And in this first class setup here, you can see it's got a place right here to put your API key for Bing. So you would come in here, copy your key into this, save the file, and then it should let you run it. I didn't set up an account to get a Bing API, so I can't show that one here. But I did set one up for Twitter. So let's give that a shot and see what that looks like. So I'm just going to change the data source to Twitter. And let me look at something quick here. Actually, you know what? I don't think I've configured my Twitter API key for this tool. May not come back with anything. Oh, yeah, it did. So this is everything that it found on Twitter related to the container store. And these would be things that it pulls out of the tweets that it finds on this particular account. So there could be some useful info here. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. So as you saw, the Harvester is a pretty powerful tool, yet it's pretty simple to use, and it can give you back a lot of information during your early stages of pen testing, where you're just gathering information against a company. It should be used alongside other OSINT tools. There again is where you want to run multiple tools and then compare the results that you go back from each one. And be sure that you're keeping track of all the information you're getting back. Time and time again, you may find that one piece of information that you may not think is important will come into play and may actually be the thing that gets you access to the target and access to whatever the target data is that you're trying to get from the site. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If it's your first time here, I would love if you subscribe to the channel and share it out with all of your friends. So my hope is to build a community where we can help each other learn and grow in security, especially if you're just getting into it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And again, thanks for watching. I hope you all have an awesome day. See you guys.